Local 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
Where has he gone? Mount Pleasant holding its breath as police search for a student they believe shot and killed his parents inside a Central Michigan University dorm. And that tops Local 4 News at 6. These terrifying events today at CMU.
And right now there's still no sign of the man police believe gunned down his own mother and father. The suspect, James Eric Davis Jr., 19 years old, a student at CMU. His parents were found shot to death inside Campbell Hall after what police are calling a domestic incident. A campus lockdown remains in place, but officers have begun to escort students and staffers from buildings on campus, many, in fact, leaving for spring break. Larry Spruill has been speaking with students about safety on campus, but first, let's get up to speed on the manhunt for James Eric Davis Jr. Sean Lay is following that part of the story for us. Sean?
Let's get the very latest, Sandra, on this investigation. CMU just updating us at the 6 o'clock hour saying this 19-year-old student, the suspected gunman, remains on the run. That's stunning because it was hours ago that police actually watched him on surveillance cameras as they reviewed those cameras running down these tracks away from Campbell Hall and then running north on those tracks, dropping some of his clothing on the tracks as he was making his getaway. Now the intense manhunt has pushed far north off of campus.
And I got a call, and it was the robocall, and it said shots fired. Monet
Robinson is a CMU student from Romulus. Her mother back home in Metro Detroit so worried after her daughter told her there was an active shooter on campus. The campus and the town of Mount Pleasant, almost every business on lockdown.
It's taking them so long to find him, and they had us locked in the dorms. Like, we couldn't leave. My friend was stuck in the cafeteria. They wouldn't let her leave.
Next thing you know, we were bum rushed into the cafeteria, and they automatically locked the door. And then a lady came by and was like, stop what you're doing and follow me. So she took us to the back of the cafeteria and was like, there's a school shooting. So we were sitting back there for like 3 hours.
It was a school shooting, but a domestic shooting. 19-year-old James Davis Jr. is suspected of shooting his parents, James Sr. and mother Diva, inside Campbell Hall, right in front of Davis's roommate, a teen from Metro Detroit.
Attention CMU units. CMU units have a possible homicide. 212 West Broomfield Street at Campbell Hall. I believe they heard 5 shots.
Federal, state, and local police going door to door and car to car all day long, searching for Davis Jr., finding some of his clothing along railroad tracks. But tonight, that search continues.
I locked myself in the room, and I was good.
Back here live, I want you to take a look at your screen. New video just in to Local 4, shot by students from Metro Detroit. Sources telling us that is James Davis Jr.'s car being towed away under the authority of the police as they comb that car for evidence. Also, guys, I can tell you right now, MSP's chopper back up again in this area as they push their search for Davis further north of campus. I can also tell you police have gotten absolutely no calls and no tips and no sightings of Davis since that shooting, since they saw him running on these tracks. That's quite stunning. Back to you.
Yeah. All right, Sean. Now, as you would understand, a lot of CMU students and faculty right now talking about and wondering about campus safety.
Yeah, it's a legitimate concern. The school's official policy is that it's a gun-free zone, which the campus police describe this way.
Most of our buildings have access control, where you have to have an identification to get into our buildings. The towers have access control. We do not have metal detectors, but it is our policy that the student, staff, faculty cannot have weapons on our campus.
Let's go ahead and go live now to Larry Spruill with possible security changes coming after today. Larry?
Well, Sandra, students and parents have mixed reaction when it comes to safety here on campus. I asked the president if changes will be coming because, after all, this is a weapon-free campus, but yet a gun was here today.
At some point in the future, as we get through this, we will take a review of our processes, take a review of our policies and procedures. there's always opportunities to learn.
Changes may be coming to the campus of Central Michigan University, according to President George Ross. This change comes after police say this man, 19-year-old James Eric Davis Jr., shot his parents inside this dorm room Friday morning. Minutes after that shooting, the campus was placed on lockdown for hours as police covered the campus looking for Davis. CMU is a weapon-free campus, yet somehow Davis brought a gun on campus. The topic of security was front and center among parents, students, and even the governor Friday.
We were already active looking at what we can do on our campuses and our schools to protect people better. This reinforces the point. This is not simply about K-12. This is an outstanding university, and we need to include our campuses, our universities and community colleges.
I do feel safe. I feel like the CMU police, they handled the situation as best as they could with as little time as they could.
This father has his doubts.
You know, unless you put gates all around the campus, how are you going to prevent it? You know, unless you have security, you know, watching every little move or more cameras, you know, you just can't prevent that.
And that is a very valid question, but security is still at the forefront here on campus. As of right now, students are being escorted by police to a hotel nearby. That's where they will be meeting their parents. We're live at Central Michigan University tonight. Larry Sproul, Local 4.
And Larry, we see the shadows lengthening behind you, getting close to sunset there. What happens to the search then?
Well, Devin, police say they are worried that the suspect may continue further in his run as it gets dark, but they will continue their search until they find him.
All right. Thank you so much, Larry. And obviously, this is a developing situation. We are continuously updating this story for you online as we're getting new information coming into our newsroom. You can find several links, different links, also new information right there on our homepage on clickondetroit.com.
Now to breaking news just in from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. 2 DPD officers have been charged in a deadly high-speed chase from last October. This is video from that scene. Prosecutors say the officers gave chase after trying to pull a driver over for speeding. The 19-year-old crashed and then later died from his injuries. The officers are accused of leaving the scene and not notifying dispatch that they were in a pursuit. A L'Anse Creuse High School student facing charges after police say he threatened to shoot up the school. Police say 18-year-old Andrew Eisen was overheard saying he would shoot up L'Anse Creuse on March 14th. During their investigation, detectives learned that Eisen made statements about putting spells on people to take their souls to hell. No weapons were found in his home. He's due back in court March 12th.
DTE crews working to get power restored to thousands of homes after yesterday's snowstorm. At the height of the storm, at one point, more than 100,000 customers were without power. That number now down to 49,000. DTE expects to have about 85% of the power restored by about 11:30 tonight. The boil water order for West Bloomfield Township has now been lifted. Anyone affected is being advised to flush old water, clean out your hot water tanks and heaters, and replace your filters. Also, appliances like water softeners, filter units, and ice makers should be inspected and also should be cleaned as well.
Vice President Pence in town promoting the Trump tax cuts. As we showed you at 5 o'clock, he spoke at an event being put on by a group of pro-Trump nonprofit, a pro-Trump nonprofit group, which has hosted several events like this across the country. Back to Mara McDonald live at the scene. The Vice President's event, Mara, his message was promises made, promises kept.
Very much so, Devin. This was all about economics. He addressed trade deficits, manufacturing jobs, talking about how this administration is committed to bringing those manufacturing jobs back. He said Michigan is leading the way on this economic comeback and took a victory lap on those Trump tax cuts, specifically calling out Detroit's automakers. Take a listen.
Here in the Motor City, you might have heard, Fiat Chrysler is giving out $2,000 tax cuts bonuses to all of its workers, and they're going to move their entire production line from Mexico to Michigan and create 2,500 new good-paying jobs and invest another $1 billion. Let's hear it for Fiat Chrysler saying yes to America and yes to Michigan.
Back here live, the purpose of this visit was economics, but the vice president immediately, off the top of his remarks this afternoon, addressed what happened at Central Michigan University, addressed what happened in Parkland, and said this administration's top priority is now school safety. We're live downtown at the Weston Book Cadillac. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
All right, Mara. Senator?
Well, now that a lawsuit over the 15-mile road sinkhole has come to a close, we're getting a better idea of how much it's going to cost homeowners in Macomb County. But as Nick Monticelli reports, we're also learning what the next move might be now for Sterling Heights.
So really, what is next? When you look around 15-mile road, it seems like all is back to normal, like nothing even happened. But there are still a few steps in place here. Number one, who is going to pay and how much? Number two, is the city of Sterling Heights going to appeal this decision? It may be just a distant memory, but the sinkhole along 15-mile road has not been completely fixed for that long, and the battle over who's going to pay for it might be over too. This week, a Macomb County judge dismissed a lawsuit filed by the city of Sterling Heights against the Macomb Interceptor Drainage District. The city says the MID did not do its job by maintaining the lines, and the city residents shouldn't have to pay for that mistake. A judge decided, though, that all communities in the district should share the cost, and that's what will happen for now. There are 11 communities in that district, and the average homeowner will pay $25 per year for the next 25 years. That's $625.
And that's an unfortunate thing. That's money, of course, but it could have been much, much higher. So we were very pleased that we were able to get that project done ahead of schedule and below budget.
As for the legal fees the MID accrued during this process, Candace Miller says that bill is over $100,000, and she's sending it to Sterling Heights.
We do intend to assess Sterling Heights for the legal costs, of course. I told them that right from the get-go.
We're not going to pay that. We'll pay our proportional share of anything charged to us, as we've agreed from the beginning. But I think it's just, I really don't think that that's going to end up being borne by just the Sterling Heights ratepayers.
Sterling Heights Mayor Michael Taylor also says the city is considering an appeal.
And if we look at it and say it's not worth our time, money, and resources to fight this anymore, and there's no value to it, then we're going to stop. But as long as we think that we're doing what's right for the ratepayers, as long as we feel that there's a fight to protect them, then we're going to keep fighting.
In Sterling Heights, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
People looking forward to seeing live horse racing this weekend in Northville are in for a disappointment. Still ahead why this Saturday's races have now been called off.
I have that in a moment, and here's Rod.
Auto parts and auto plant, in this case, hoods. Not that unusual here in Metro Detroit, except for the fact that these are unusual.
We got here very quickly, very well. We're very proud. They're made in Michigan.
What does the future hold for the newest auto plant in Metro Detroit? We'll have an answer.
All right, Rod, and as we head to break, I want to invite you to watch Flashpoint this Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We're putting together a special hour-long edition we're calling Generation Under Fire. We'll tackle the questions of school shootings and school security from many angles, law enforcement, lawmakers from Capitol Hill, teachers, mental health providers about what can be done. I hope you'll join us at 10 on Sunday morning.
On Jeopardy!
Last fall, Mahindra Motors teased us a bit by telling everyone they would start building off-road vehicles in Auburn Hills. Well, today they showed us exactly what's coming. Brings a familiar shape back to life. Business editor Rob Maloney has the story.
This is the newest automotive assembly line in Metro Detroit. Probably the newest one since about the 1980s. Much smaller than the ones that we're used to. But that's kind of the point here. They're starting small because they want to walk before they can run. The Mahindra Rocks rolled out today on the assembly line floor, and this is a vastly different off-road vehicle than sportsmen and women use these days. Unlike the snarling snowmobile-like carts tricked out with knobby tires, this one is built very similarly to really an SUV with stamped steel body panels, turbo diesel engines, and larger transmissions. 70 years ago, Mahindra licensed the old Willys Jeep to build in India. This one's recognizable in that light. Half the parts are Indian, made there, entire assembly here in Metro Detroit. Rick Haas is Mahindra's American CEO.
And that both countries can walk away from a project like this smiling because everyone kind of won.
Mahindra employs about 300 in this new facility. The place was a gleam in executive eyes just 4 years ago.
We have high quality people here. We're doing things that people aren't doing at this amount of time. and getting it out and hiring locally, adding a lot of jobs to the community in the area.
This is awesome. Absolutely awesome. There's so much opportunity here. This is the Motor City.
While the Roxor looks road ready, it's not, but Haas admits it's certainly the plan.
As we see how the market responds, we have a variety of scenarios we've already laid out as to how to respond to the response.
They've already started shipping the Roxor to dealers, so don't be surprised if you see them out on a trail or a field somewhere very soon. But the thing is, they're ready, and it won't be too long before you see something like this with a Mahindra nameplate on it on the highway. In Auburn Hills, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Interesting. Now, the company tells us the Roxor color schemes that they showed today are just the basics as they move forward. According to the company, you'll have hundreds of colors and even custom themes from which to choose.
Northville Downs canceled its live horse racing for this Saturday, and it was a decision that was authorized by the Michigan Gaming Control Board. Due to a lack of horses, track management at Northville Downs asked the gaming board to approve its request to cancel racing. The Michigan Harness Horsemen's Association agreed with that decision. Northville Downs opens today, by the way, for the 2018 live racing season. Timing on that is pretty interesting,
Isn't it though? Yes. So the weather guys have had their fun with us here for the last 24 hours or so. Let's get it back together.
Well, I'm here to provide some relief now.
That would be nice.
We'll take it.
We've got drier conditions out there, calmer conditions, and hey, we've made it above freezing, ladies and gentlemen. 39 degrees was the high today. Yes, 1 degree shy of freezing, but lots of melting and thawing going on. Certainly a welcome sight to see. Now we need to be on guard for refreezing overnight. Even before midnight, temperatures will fall to the 20s after midnight, but get closer to the freezing mark in all 4 zones as we get closer to around 9, 10 o'clock this evening. Look at that beautiful sunset and the evening sky we've got. Absolutely gorgeous conditions. Sunset just a few minutes away at 6:25. 39 currently. We've got winds at around 7 miles per hour, making it feel a little bit chillier. Wind chill just above freezing. And another beautiful sight in the sky. Look out to the west where the sun is setting just after 7:05. About 40 minutes after sunset, you'll see 2 planets in the sky, Venus and Mercury. Venus will be on the left. Take the kids out as well, inspiring the astronomer in your own household. How about that? Temperatures right now mostly above freezing in your neighborhood as well. Right at the freezing mark, though, over in Port Huron. Not too far away, though, 37 in Lapeer, 40 degrees for our friends in Livonia and around Redford, upper 30s to around 38 degrees over in Dundee. And dry conditions as you head out this evening, whether it's dinner or show or both. And all these temperatures, even though it's close to the freezing mark, many of them still 4, 6, 7 degrees above what they were 24 hours ago. And we'll see temperatures back into the 40s by tomorrow afternoon. Beautiful sunshine is out there. We've got gorgeous conditions across the entire state. The nasty snow we had yesterday, now it's reserved for our friends in New York, parts of New Jersey, and eventually New England as the storm really starts to ramp up big time as it moves off the East Coast and into the Atlantic. But around here over the next 24 hours, nothing but dry weather. High pressure in place, much more stable air, means clear skies for tonight and abundant sunshine, not just for Saturday, but also for Sunday. We're looking at 22 degrees overnight. Again, watch out for that refreezing, especially ramps, bridges, and overpasses. Make sure the car is completely clean before you start driving. Sunset again is at 6:25. Winds at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, nothing but sunshine. Sunrise is at 7:05. I'll see you bright and early at 6 a.m. on Local 4 News today, right here. 37 degrees at noon. 41 for a high, not bad at all. Temperatures slightly above average. Then we'll get closer to 45 degrees on Sunday. More beautiful blue skies are ahead. Again, low temperatures at the bottom of your screen in the 20s on both Sunday morning and then on Monday morning. But Monday afternoon, a high temperature of 45 degrees. We do have another chance of showers in your 7-day forecast, but that's way far away. Not until next Tuesday and Wednesday, a chance of rain and snow showers coming back. But then sunshine returns with temperatures back to around 40 degrees next Thursday and Friday. Looking great for this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm one of those guys who never notices the weather in March because there's basketball on. So
that is
you'll just have to tell me what's going on.
Indoor weather just as perfect.
That's
Even
right.
better.
All right, thanks, Andrew. In fact,